Hi guys, it's Denise with My Scrappy Place again, and I'm back for another video. Last week I showed you guys the paper pumpkin from August, and the 3 cards that we made from that kit looked like this. And I had told you that I was going to do, whoops, it's upside down, that I was going to do something a little bit different with the kit. That there were some flowers in the stamp set, and I wanted to try and use those because mainly what we used in the stamp set or in the kit last month was just the words, and I wanted to do something with the flowers. So of course I got to looking online and whatnot, and I found another demonstrator whose name is Rachel Tessman. So she gets the credits for this, for making this card. Now I did it a little bit differently than she did, but for the most part it is basically the same. But this is what I wanted to do different, because as you saw in that stamp set, it's just a single flower. But I wanted to make a wreath. And this technique has been around for a long time. I'm not going to say that she invented the technique, but some people call this wreath stamping or stamping in the round. I used a punch that I had to do some leaves rather than using the leaves that were in the kit, because I wanted to do something different with those. And then I used one of my other punches to punch out the saying. But let me show you how we make this wreath with that stamp set when it's not actually a wreath stamp. Okay, so what I did, and I have to, it's kind of involved. This might be a little bit of a long video, I hope not. But basically, first you have to do is you have to make your template. And in order to make the template, I wrote on here, I just have a piece of scrap paper that's about 5.5 inches by 5.5 inches. And I used the layering squares framelits from Stampin Up, of course, obviously, and the Big Shot. I'm not going to drag this Big Shot out. You could use any kind of die cutting machine. The Big Shot just happens to be what Stampin Up sells. But I used the largest plain square in the die set. And I just took it on this piece of, this of course is a solid piece of paper, but I layered it on here and I ran it through the Big Shot, and then I popped out the middle. And then I turned the die a little, 45 degrees, however many degrees that is. I'm not a math whiz. And I ran it through again and cut it out so that I have like an 8-sided star template. Okay, that's the very first thing that you need to do. Once you do that, keep this for other ones. I also took the same size framelit and I cut out a piece of white, Whisper White paper using this. So that is what I did with the framelit to make the template. Now the next tool I'm going to drag out is called our Stamparatus. It was bought out late last year, early this year. I don't really remember exactly. I know that's terrible, but basically it's a stamp positioner, and there are going to be glares because of the way my lights are set up and the fact that these are clear plastic. What are these? These things. Anyway, my words are not coming to me today, but anyway, I apologize now for the glare. Okay, so let's get back to doing the stamping. So what you want to do is you take your template and you want to put it up in the top corner, and these magnets come with the Stamparatus. Now I have wrapped mine in like duct tape so that they're easy to grab, because they stick, and they stick hard, and there's 2 of them. Let me show you this really quick. On the back side of this is where I have 3 of the magnets, but the magnets hide on the back side right here. You never want to put your magnets close together. Don't put them on the table together, because they will snap together and they will break. This is a known issue. Well, it's not really an issue, but it's a known thing that could happen, and Stampin' Up will not replace your magnets if you break them. Now, you have probably seen other stamp positioner like similar to this, but to my knowledge, Stampin' Up is the only one that has dual plates. That's what these are called, plates. So you have one at the top, and you can take it off, as you saw. And then we've got another one on the side. So you can stamp from this way, or you can stamp from this way. Okay, and we're going to be using both of our plates today. So that's a quick, very quick overview of the Stamparatus. And I'm going to lay my magnet just to hold my template in place. Then I am going to take my square piece of paper, and what have I done with my square piece of paper? Here it is. And first thing I'm going to do is I am going to, this is just the way that I do it. I started off where it's like an actual, I'm not looking at a diamond, I'm looking at it as the square. Okay, I'm going to lay that right there, and I'm going to take my flower, and I'm going to get it just as close to the edge as I possibly can when it's this way and in the center, and it's going to probably stick to my fingers. Okay, and this stamp is hot pink because the photopolymer stamps, they do stain. That's just the nature of them. There's nothing wrong with it, but it does stain. And I'm going to close my lid, and I'm going to pick up my stamp. Now, of course, it's kind of sticky, so at first it's going to pick up the paper with it. Okay, so what we are going to do is we're going to go ahead and start stamping. So let me find my ink. The ink that I'm using today is Pineapple Punch and Melon Mambo. So the best way, I'm kind of working in a small space here, so you're not going to be able to see it real well probably, but I'm going to ink up my stamp. And if you can tell, I got ink all over this plate, but that's okay. As long as I don't do CPR on my stamp, I ought to be fine. When I put it down, I'm going to stamp it once and give it a little press and lift it up. And you're going to say, oh my gosh, it came up. That's okay. Well, I kind of smudged a little bit. But then I'm going to take and I'm going to rotate it just a little bit. And actually what I could probably do to make it work well, actually before I rotate it, let's do this. Just put it back where it was. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to take the middle piece of my flower. And it looks like a little bitty heart, but it really is the center, but it does look like a heart. And I'm going to position that right there as well. And I'm actually going to take my magnet, and I'm going to lay it on my paper so that it doesn't pick it up. And I'm going to lay that stamp down, and then I'm going to stamp. I'm going to ink up my other spot over my center here. And well, I didn't line that one up very good at all. It moved a little bit. There we go. Perfectly. Okay. That's why we use the magnets. Now, if you notice, I did not re-ink this one. Okay, so I'm going to turn my paper a quarter of a turn, and I am going to lay it back down, and I'm going to get this magnet out of the way because that just isn't going to work, and stamp again. Second generation stamping is what that's called. Okay, and before I flip it, I'm going to ink up the middle because I want it perfectly lined up. And I'm going to stamp it there. I'm going to turn it another little bit again, right here. I'm going to ink up this side again, and I'm going to do full strength. So I'm going to stamp right there. And do you see where we're coming along in here? And then I'm going to stamp up or ink up the center. And I'm going to stamp. But this is the purpose of the Stamparatus, is that you get perfectly lined up stamps so long as you use your magnets and you line up your template. Now, I would never do this as a circle template because that's just the way I roll. I wouldn't be good enough to get it in a perfect around the to make it as a wreath. I just wouldn't. And I promise it's usually not as difficult as it's turning out to be right this very second. But of course, whenever you are videoing something, something always goes wrong, right? But you can see it's pretty easy, and this is how you can make a wreath shape out of whatever stamp you have. If you've got flowers or if you've got leaves, you just keep stamping, do the top, stamp that there, turn it a quarter of a turn. Remember, we're not going to re-ink because we want that lighter shade. We're going to stamp that right there. Put it back in the template spot. Ink. Stamp. Turn it another quarter turn. This truly is what takes the longest part of making the card, and I'm not going to make the whole card for you because I think you can probably get the gist of it. We stamp again. Lift it off. Stamp that again. Stamp the center. Another quarter of a turn. We're not going to re-ink. We're just going to stamp that one. And line it up. So the template keeps falling out. Ideally, like I said, I would put the magnet on the corner, but for the sake of time, here we go. And then the last center. And then you can see how easy that was. You got a perfect shaped wreath. So there you go. I mean, after that, then I'm gonna move this out of the way so I don't get myself inky and everything else inky, because I certainly will. I just took the saying, the thinking of you, and all I did was I stamped it on a scrap piece of paper. Let me zoom in just a little bit so you can see better. Stamped it on a scrap piece of paper. I used our classic Lego punch and just punched it out. It was a tight fit, but it worked. I just laid it on a piece of, this is Blackberry Bliss that's behind it, and trimmed around it, glued it down, trimmed around it. And then for the leaves, rather than using the vellum shapes that came in the kit, of course you absolutely could, but if you have already used up all of your leaves making the cards, we also have a leaf punch, and all I did was I just took some old olive cardstock and punched out the leaves, and then I decided I wanted a little bit of bling, so I took some glittery gold cardstock, punched a few out of that. I popped it all up on dimensionals, and that's the card that I got. So I apologize if this was kind of a difficult to watch video. It's really an easy technique, and I would be more than happy to tell you how to do it. If you wanted to contact me, I can probably put it in my blog description a little bit easier. Like I said, just make sure that you use your magnets when you're holding your paper down. Again, the key is making sure that you make your template, and when you are storing, and this thing's, so you're asking, okay, this is a mess, what am I going to do with it? It's easy. I'm going to take our new stamp chamois, and all I do is I just wipe it off. Or you can, if you don't have a stamp chamois, that's okay. Oh, sorry. I'm making a sissy again, shaking the camera. I'm not used to having that. And then just wipe it off again. There you go. I don't know if you can see on these plates, but there are grid lines. Can you see that? Let me take this off and put it up against this pad comes off. But can you see the grid lines on here so you can line up your stamps? The black pad, you're going to want to use this pad with your photopolymer or your clear stamps. If you're using your red rubber stamps, you want to take it off and just use it without it. This is printed underneath the plastic, so it's not ever going to rub off the grid lines and the logo, so you can clean, clean, clean. I use stamp cleaner on it. I use hand sanitizer. I don't know that I would use anything with bleach on it because that might mess it up. And then when you are ready to store your Stamparatus, one plate can stay on here, but do not try and put both plates together and the hinges, because as you can see, it stays open, and if you force it down, it will break. So I just take it off and lay it aside like that. So this is the Stamparatus. This is the stamping in the round. So like I said, if you have got stamp sets and you want to make wreaths out of it, there you go. Something I didn't really show you on this one, but you can kind of see there are little other stamens and burst. I didn't use the Stamparatus for that. I just put them on a block and stamped around on it. And this one, so you see this one looks a little bit different, but that's how I did that. And popped it all up. It's a pretty card. I thought it was easy. Like I said, once I got the hang of doing the stamping in the round, again, totally not my idea. I totally cased it from somebody else, but I thought it was so pretty that I thought I would share it with you. So I hope you enjoyed this. Sorry for the shaking of the camera, and I hope you have a happy, scrappy day. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.